Hi guys, welcome to the video. Welcome to Edinburgh Airport on the east side of Scotland, and welcome to this beastie here. This is the Fenix Airbus A320, which I think quite a few will be familiar with. But it's had a huge update, and so although I've been meaning to do a video about the add-on for quite some time, this seemed the appropriate time to do it, given how much has been updated, changed or added to the aircraft. So as I say, it's in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and 2024. In this case, we're looking at it in 2024. And as I say on the title, I'm just wondering if this is the best airliner we've had yet in the sim. They really have taken it up a level, and what we'll do is we'll have a look at that. So we'll have a quick look at the website and documentation, that sort of stuff, and then we'll move into the meat and potatoes. We'll have a look at the outside, the inside, take it for a flight, see what we think. In addition, as part of that, I'll mention hardware compatibility and my experience with it. We'll also have a look at the MCDU and so on and so forth, and as I say, we'll come up with some sort of conclusion at the end of it. Before we go any further, I'm just going to say, for those who follow the channel, huge thanks for your support. It always means a lot to me, and your ongoing support is hugely appreciated. Likewise, I would say, if you do enjoy the video, it would be absolutely massive if you could support me by ticking like, share or subscribing. Any of the above would be absolutely fantastically appreciated, and those who are in the same position, relatively small YouTube content creators, it makes a huge difference, so it's always appreciated. And as I say, to those who've done so on previous videos, thank you ever so much for your help, assistance, and as I say, it just helps me figure out what videos to do next. Right, why have I gone up to that point for the debug? I will actually call this up while I'm thinking about it every now and again during the video, if I can remember, just to give you some idea of the frames per second. Obviously red implies it's bad, green implies it's good, but I'm not quite sure what this means personally. All I know is that the top right is the frames per second. So although I'm on a 60 Hertz monitor, the software is generating 100 and whatnot frames per second. So I'll leave that up as I go. Every now and again we'll make mention of it. But as I say, I don't know what the red significance is between the red of this box and this box, and I don't know which one particularly appertains to the graphics card and which one appertains to the CPU. I'm assuming main thread down here, this is CPU, and I'm assuming this is GPU, but if anyone can help me out with that, it would be hugely appreciated. Anyway, I'll leave it up there so that those who know what they're looking at can get something from it. Right, so the add-on itself, let me just bring the web page over. Fenix caused quite a stir when they came into the marketplace. First thing, having a look at the website, obviously you get the nice shiny brochure style pictures, but when you look at the text of what they're describing as a product, it's obscene compared to what we were used to 15 years ago. Feature complete auto flight suite, which is great. We might have a play of that later. RNAV, RMP, AR capabilities, complex route construction. Interesting that we get... So Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 was a big step change from previous versions of the sim. And one of the things it started to look at more was more akin to the blade element theory that X-Plane uses, and more to do with things like fluid dynamics and air mass simulation, etc. So that's gone on another level with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and this implies to me, or reading between the lines, this implies to me that they're basically looking at the core elements of what can be achieved within the sim and then using those tools. So as the sim develops, it's nice to see that it looks like they've been developing, and you'll see that later on as well. I don't like the phrases full immersion. You know, you sat at a 2D monitor at a table at the end of the day, or most people. Some will be fortunate enough to have full rigs, and some will be fortunate enough beyond that to have full motion rigs with VR and the like. But unless you've got a full motion rig in a life-size cockpit with 3D visuals, you know, as far as I'm concerned, full immersion is just not achievable. That's nothing against the add-on, it is just not achievable. Again, proprietary scans, etc. You know, so they've obviously had access to the aircraft, etc. They do the nice little touches that I do like: dust on the displays, etc., engraving on the panels, and so on and so forth. They obviously give you details of what's included. It's nice, having had over 200 failures available, to have some circuit breakers with which to work our way through them. It's a nice pairing, one would think. This one, part of me felt was a little bit gimmicky, if I'm honest, but having had a go with it, I find it quite cool. Is it something I would use a lot when I'm flying? Probably not. As I say, for me this is, I wouldn't say gimmicky, but it's something that you can live without, technically. You get 4 variants of the aircraft. So you get the 2 engine variants, the CFM and the IAE, but you also get wingtip and sharklet variants of each. So that's basically 4 aircraft. Livery manager, the livery manager is a highlight with this, and they say, and so much more. We'll have a look at the changes. I say we'll have a look, we'll glance over the changes, and you'll see why for me this is something that warranted almost treating as a new thing, really. Gallery of pretty pictures, high fidelity, officially licensed by Airbus. But the other thing, I will mention it, you can then upgrade with an additional bundle of the 319 320, which I don't own, if I'm brutally honest. I'd love to, but again, you know, that brings the price up for the combined bundle to £90. £50 is a nice price point, I feel. But a couple of things I'm going to mention. So the BFU patch, the big Fenix update, by far the biggest update, and this is on their website. You can get access to it through their Fenix homepage, and it goes through a truncated list of what they've updated. However, that undersells the actual list of what's gone on, which is down here. So here's all your liveries that they do for the various aircraft, the change log, the avionics, all of this lot. Fixes. You can see Art and Studios added LODs, added manual gear, entirely new IAE sound set with new recordings, overhauled flight deck textures, improved display contrast. You can see that this is pretty much a new aircraft. Added the CFM 5B7s, A39 Sharklet airframe variant, new ground model. I mean, they've literally adjusted, tuned everything that was there, added, fixed so much stuff. So you can see why at this point I'm sat there going, this warrants a review or a video to have a look at it. You know, and it raises to me that question: is this the best airliner, payware airliner in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and 2024? And so what I'm just going to do next, before we go and have a look at the outside, is we're going to have a look at one of the weaknesses for me, which is documentation, tutorials, all that sort of stuff. I'm a big fan of having a written document. I had a look through the various folders once you've got it installed. I couldn't find a written or downloadable or readable PDF or anything like that in terms of checklists or QRHs or anything like that. I couldn't find anything, which I was a bit surprised at. So I was like, well, you've got these days, compared to the olden days where we just had the manual, these days you've got various sources. So you would have had a manual within it, or you would have a tutorial, which was a good one back in the day, or you'd have YouTube videos. And so these days we learn a lot by YouTube videos. But when I Googled for the Fenix A320 tutorial, there's no real structure to it, but you can see just the sheer number of videos that are available. And so for me, it's very much a case of there is a huge and vast amount of information but none of it really seems to be. There's one channel I did find where it does like a step-by-step tutorial, really good actually. And in fact, it's this guy here, Airbus Cockpit Coach. So shout out to him because his series of videos are really good. I would highly recommend him. There's the other ones that we often see. So here he is again, Airbus Cockpit Coach. But I like EasyJet, SimPilot as well, A320 driver, and so on and so forth. There's loads of people who've done videos on how to do it with Fenix. So these days, it's less of an issue. As I say, I'm fairly old school, and I still like the idea of having either a written manual that comes with the add-on. I mean, you've got to bear in mind the pilot's operating handbook for things like this is 600-700 pages. The manual for just the MCDU is about 600 pages on this thing. So you're not short of reference material, but as I say, your the training element or the learning tools element from Fenix is a bit lacking. So you either end up resorting to trial and error, YouTube, and just seeing how you get on. It's not necessarily the worst way to learn things, but there are better ways of doing it in my mind, including a tutorial, for example. But as I say, there's loads of good content creators and producers who can show you the early steps of the aircraft. When you go onto their support hub, I was hoping to find some documentation here. It's got things to do with the walk-around quirks and all that sort of thing, setting up Navigraph, etc. But there's no manual that I could find. If there is a manual somewhere, please somebody let me know where it is. I've had a look, as I say, I've had a look through the files that are uploaded in terms of the aircraft. Couldn't find anything, but right, going to change this slightly. We're not going to go to Jersey. We're going to go to EGNX instead, just because I don't need to go all the way to Jersey to demonstrate this. GNX. I just need something to put in the MCDU for when we get there. Click out there. Generate flight. Okay, we're outside the aircraft now, and I've pulled this up so that we can have a look at the performance as we wander around and inside the aircraft, outside the aircraft. I've found a bit of a weird anomaly, so we can have a look at that. Let me just bring in the sound so you can hear what I'm hearing. Can you hear what I can? There we go. I'll maybe turn it down a little bit so you can hear what's on in the background. But you can hear we've got the APU running. And this is the first point where you simply go, wow, looking at this thing. At a distance, it looks great. In fact, what we'll do is we'll just do kind of a fly around. Shall we? No, we won't do that. We'll have a look around at ground level, then we'll have a look at the fly around, then we'll go inside. So if you can imagine you are crewing this thing, the atmospherics are superb. There's a lot of various bits and bobs under here that we can look at, but you can see the 3D modelling in this is absolutely next level. Just crouch down, you can see the wheel hubs here, you can see the flattening of the bottom of the tyres, different textures, nice round areas of the tyres. Again, you can see it's like matte on the surface where it's been worn, matte round here, and then if you come around to the oleo, it's going to be high gloss metallic. You can see reflections in it, so you can see that wheel is being reflected on that side. If I come around here, you get the same on the opposite side. The detail and the intricacies of what they've done are great. Little light so that the ground crew know what's going on in terms of the aircraft. Personally, I don't know what the light signifies, and I don't know if you can lower these nose gear doors, nose bay doors. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. If you do know, please feel free to drop it in the comments. But the intricacies of this over center lock here, just very nicely done. Labels and text on the inside. Springs look a little bit sort of octagonal, but that's fine. Really nice reflections in the nose gear landing light. Very, very nice. And moving around this with the sounds on in the background, you get a really good feeling of what it would be like to walk around the aircraft. Avionics door is open here for cooling. Whether it's the exhaust or an intake, I don't know. I'd suspect exhaust. Let's have a look here. Not quite sure why this is open, but here we go. Is it going to open? Yep. Now you have to keep going, otherwise the pressure reduces and it will start to sag down again. So you've got to wait till the little light comes on to say it's locked out. But this for me is just fantastic. This is the kind of thing I really like playing around with. Am I going to do it on every flight? Guaranteed not. Right, get the little green light on, that means it's locked out. And then, you know, even just looking here, the detail in here is fantastic. Hydraulics will shut up in a moment. Back of the nose wheel gear, while I think about it, we'll have a look here, because that is good stuff, isn't it? That is really good stuff. Door opening ground to operate handle. Is there a door handle we can operate? I don't know. Remove safety pin. Press button end of handle and operate. Release handle and insert safety pin after complete opening. I don't know which bit I'd do. Is there anywhere that my mouse obviously clicks on? Is it up here? I don't know. Placard. Well, if you know, guys, feel free to let me know. But you can see nicely modelled in the hole. Very nicely done. Really just good stuff. All the scuffs, texturing, etc. Different materials for use in various places. Again, PBM based metallics here. The shine on this fuselage is lovely. But again, it's nice to see the dirt underneath. And again, the level of detail for the textures, etc., is just. Oh, look up inside if you have your X-ray vision. Coming around to the engines, I don't know if there's anything that you can interact with on the engines. Probably not. But it has got things like the pressure probe here on the inlet. Can't spin the blades, can you? Yeah, you can. Just in this little bit down the bottom. So you can inspect the blades, make sure there's no damage, dents, dings, weird graunching noises, anything like that. Have a look at the spinner. I mean, the level of detail these days is insane. And this is just one of the two engines. It's just absolutely insane. Lovely texturing here, lovely use of the metallics and the colours. Very complex part of the 3D model, really. All these different curves, shapes, etc. Very nicely done. Again, the level of detail we're getting to now, with little vents at the back of the pylons, etc. Have a look inside the engine. You just about see the way through to the N1 there. But very convincing. Come around to the main gear. Just like the nose gear, very well done. Excellent piece of modelling. And then look at this, the complexity of all of this. I mean, that's next level. That really is impressive. I mean, that just, oh, it's fantastic, isn't it? Just, yeah, I mean, I don't need to say much, do I, really? Again, you can see there's weight on the tyres with the deformation at the bottom. I mean, with the noises in the background from the APU, It really does feel like you're beneath the aircraft, and the noises are obviously changing as we're moving around as well. Yeah, stunning, stunning. Don't think this panel does anything. Does this one now? We'll go along to the next hold, shall we? I think we're missing one, aren't we? But this one I think you can do exactly the same if you're close enough. A little bit of a bounce, and then under here we've got our panel. It's staggering. The level of detail is staggering with this. Wait till it locks and the green light comes on. There we go. Just release that. Yeah. Just brilliant. Bulk cargo, I don't know if you can open this one. No. But walking around the tail, you can see lovely lighting, 3D modelling effects all the way around here. And then down the other side. I mean, look at that undercarriage as we come down towards it. Absolutely, absolutely awesome. Of course, it's slightly longer undercarriage than the 737. Obviously, the 737-200 had JT9, I think they were, engines. They were like cigar tubes, so it sat much lower. It didn't need the higher undercarriage that it does now, realistically. But yeah, I think 3D modelling wise, externally, and the texturing, just divine. Just absolutely divine. Sorry if you're getting any stuttering, by the way, but I find it hard to level much criticism at it. There's not a lot I've found where I'd go, oh, whoa, 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 have a look at that. I mean, it's just all the various doors that open that should do, all the various pitos, etc., all present and correct. Haven't counted the static wicks, but I'll take their word for it that they're correct. Is it here for the nose gear? No. Simple things get me though. So where's the... Oh, we're on APU. We haven't got the ground cart, have we? Let me just put the ground cart there. The GPU. GPU. I'm just going to put it there because... Oh, we're back here, are we? Oh, and we're now locked in as well. Real heft to that. We'll just squeeze out. Back out onto the apron. Squeeze through these. Squeeze through these. Let's come back round. Stupidly nice bit of modelling. Obviously we've got our power cart here. Chugging away with its diesel engine, but look at the insanity of the level of detail for this. External power is available, so obviously I assume that changes light when colour light when it's in use, but they're not just modelled. We often see the power cable, we don't often see the support strop as well, we don't see it modelled to such a high degree of intricacy. We never normally see the switches and the lights, etc. Even the interior of this and the hinges are modelled really, really well. It's absurd. Let's just can we disconnect that? Oh, we can disconnect that, and then can we shut that? Oh, and we even get animation for the... I wonder if we plug it in and the ground... How cool is that? Right. Let's just do that and then that. As I say, I I'm finding it very hard to be critical about the exterior modelling in any way, shape or form. If we go in nice and close, we'll go in nice and close completely. Just need to slow the camera down because it gets all excitable here. Only need it down to about 5 or 8, and then we'll bring this down to about 100 odd, so we can see what's going on. The exterior modelling is done to a very high standard. The scratches and scrapes, the fact that paint's wearing where some of the fixings are, 3D externals in terms of things like, I assume this is a air temperature probe of some description, or maybe something to do with the ice detection system, I don't know. 3D wipers done to a very nice level. These nozzles, which I guess are for the icing for the windscreens. I can't remember the name of it now. Windows done to a very high standard. No straight lining at all that I can see. Nice glazing effects, slightly mottled from where it's dirty. I mean, just awesome. Absolutely awesome. Again, while I think about it, you've got things like the sort of effects of the streaks going over the joins and the top of the wing surfaces. So where the flaps are. And this is quite a complex area, isn't it? With spoilers, flaps, just, yeah, the whole thing done to a very, very high standard. You can see the PBR changing as we're moving around as well in terms of the shine and the reflective natures of the lighting. Yeah, superb, superb. Right, let's jump inside. So welcome to the cockpit. Now the reality is for me that, let's just get this up actually while I think about it. The reality for me is that an Airbus cockpit isn't the most aesthetically amazing cockpit on earth. It just isn't. It's very functional. It's very sort of neutral. There's nothing about it that I would shout about it in terms of a cockpit that's been developed in terms of the aesthetics. However, that's not to belie the fact that they've done an awful lot in terms of ergonomics and systems management and human factors. And you could say that, you know, even from the outset, this plane was designed with the idea of helping the pilot, much to the sort of queries about, you know, whether the systems are involving the pilot or not. I remember years ago they used to say there's two sorts of Airbus pilots. The one who goes, "Ooh, what's it doing?" And then the other type go, "Oh, it's doing that again." You know, how real it is, I don't know. I've not flown one of these in real life, obviously. But yeah, let's have a look at the interior and see what we think. The first thing I'm immediately standing out here is the dirt on the screens. And it's different on every screen. That is exceptional, because these things, airliners are grubby, mucky things. But yeah, and again, down here on the MCDU, different lighting, giving different effects in terms of what you're seeing, different reflections coming over. I'm not quite sure what's going on with this reflection, but in reality, if you're looking around, you're not going to get different reflections. The reflection's going to be the same because your positioning is the same. It doesn't matter whether you move your head or not, the reflection will be identical. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But anyway, let's get down to the matter at hand and have a look at the 3D modelling and all the bits to do with that. So 3D modelling, it's done to a very high standard. There's areas like in this corner where I don't quite know what's going on in terms of the joints of all the 3D modelling there, but if I'm picking at that, it's because there's not a lot of other stuff to pick at. Now, in terms of clickability, I know there's a lot to it in terms of clickable stuff, so nice noises as well, but not everything's clickable. So we can get into the oxygen masks. Obviously, it's useful if you want to test them, but not everything is designed to be clickable. Oh, that's how you get rid of the tablet. Excellent. Right, well, we'll just get rid of that for the moment. What about these? Don't know. Can we do it from up here? No, it doesn't look like we can do the sunscreens, which is a shame. What about back here? Are these? They work, so why wouldn't these work? Have I just not found the click spot? Is that it? Yeah, there we go. They work, so that's all good. Get rid of those, don't need those. Nice, with nice sounds as well. Yeah, it's all really well done. 3D modelling wise, coming down here and having a look around the left hand side on the captain's side. Again, the 3D modelling is done to a very high standard. I think you'd have to agree that everything down here looks pretty good. Animations wise, smooth and very precise. A little bit jittery, but at the end of the day, how many times do you sit down and have a look at this at close range? Yeah, that's nice. Obviously I've got the Moza stick, so it's nicely damped. It's not doing anything leery, and it's just following the movements that I want it to do, just moving it around as well. You can see the textures where it looks really worn down here. The texturing and the 3D shaping of this is just absolutely divine. Look at it around where the button is, and obviously these sections of the rubber as they move around, really nice. Textures look very nice. 3D modelling of the seat, it's very clean. There's no sort of stepped lines, despite the fact it's shaped. Again, up here, very nice and clean in terms of how it's been modelled. Coming over to the pedestal, again, nice texturing all over, different coloured panels. It just looks worn and you know, true to life, I suppose, is the best way to describe it. Nice sounds. Yeah, nice sounds, nice animation, smooth, nothing snatching at all. Very nicely done. Nice 3D modelling. Again, coming round. Looks very good. I mean, we could only dream of this years ago, couldn't we? This is just next level. Having said that, this isn't unusual these days in terms of the quality of interiors we're seeing. But this is very high quality, particularly the screens. I'm absolutely loving the screens with the dirt and the streaks and the fingerprints and all that sort of thing. Colouring's nice. I'm not sure how accurate it is. That's a sort of minty green. Yeah, 3D modelling is nice. No sound on that one. Very quiet sound there. But no sound on the terrain on ND. Underneath here, again, the lighting, you can see it moving around. Very nice. Not quite sure what this is. Again, lighting rheostats here. Yeah, it looks, the panels look, the LCD screens look amazing. Obviously earlier aircraft had CRT screens, so an easy giveaway as to whether it's an earlier or later model. Obviously there's so many different variations within the decades of production that just knowing what CRT screen or LCD screen is doesn't really help you out massively. Nice texturing up here, look, the sort of stippled leatherette effect. I mean, the detail is really quite stunning. No idea what this is. I assume it's some sort of something for a screen or something. Ooh, excuse me. Again, got a screen here that we can move. I'm not going to bother with it. And then coming around here, switch noises are very quiet. Is that me or is that... That one seems to have no noise at all. Let me come down and just check my volumes. Open volume mixer. Let's just turn that up a bit. Let's see how we get on now. These seem better, but nothing on these. I don't know if they'd have anything in real life. Oh, that one's got noise. Yeah, I mean the noises are the noises really in the cockpit and the cabin, switching things around. I wouldn't expect too much, but talking of the cabin, we'll go through in a moment. But one of the things we do have to highlight, obviously, it said they've got 200 plus failures that you can do and 230 or 280 circuit breakers, or the other way around. Not all of the circuit breakers appear to be functioning. Oh, that's a nice noise. Now that's better than the FS Labs, the way they've done it, with the strange clicky draggy. No. I like the noise, the sound, that's good. But yeah, not all of the circuit breakers are clickable, but I would suspect that the ones that are clickable are the ones that you would potentially need to do during the failures. So it's kind of a, you could argue there's almost an element of practicality, i.e. why try and model something that is never going to be utilised. But as I say, some are more clickable than others. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, there are other add-ons that have everything done, but I think this is going to be something where it's adequate for purpose. FireX. This has always made me laugh. So a friend of mine's a captain on 7.3s, and he said they go through all this security. There's two things about airport security that make me laugh. The first thing is they go through airport security, they get all the stuff checked to make sure they've got nothing untoward, the crew, and then the first thing they do is put them in a cockpit with an axe. And as he said to me, that just seems ludicrous. I mean, obviously it's an emergency tool for getting out of the aircraft, etc. But it just seems ludicrous. All this security, yet the first thing they do is put the crew in with an axe. Seems a bit weird to me. The second thing was I was working at an airport as a firearms officer, and obviously bearing in mind dripping in metal, all sorts of metal. And the next thing I know is the security guard goes, "Oh, you need to go through the arch." I just looked at him and went, "What do you mean I'll have to go through the arch?" And he went, "You'll have to go through the arch. Everybody goes through the arch." So I walk through the arch, the alarms go off, and then we're just looking at each other, and I'm sort of like, "Well, what are you going to do now?" And he just went, "Oh, right, okay, you can go." Just made me chuckle at the time. But anyway, back to the case in point. Yeah, not everything is clickable in terms of fuses, fuse boards, etc. But I guess, as I say, the most important ones are. But again, we get round to the 3D modelling. Very nicely done. Like the effect of the coat hangers. Into the walking mode, so we can have a shifty round. Through the door. Let's just see if we can get down a little bit. Nice footsteps. And as I say, you can interact with the door and open the door. Let's stop crouching. Let's stop being mini-me. Right, where's the click point gone for this? Oh, there we go. We hadn't fully opened it. I like the weight and heft to this. It doesn't just fly open. Obviously we can hear the outside door, and it clicked there. I don't know if you noticed that. I don't know how to get this thing closed again. Is that it? Yeah. That level of detail is somewhat impressive. Again, obviously you can do the other side, and then when you come into the galley section, you can see real wear and tear. Really nice modelling in here. Very high level of attention to detail in terms of 3D modelling and texturing. Very nice indeed. Obviously not necessarily interactive, but the metallics, this red metallic down here is really good. really good. Airline specific caddies. It's got the tags on. Obviously some aircraft are carrying alcohol, but duty free, so tags etc, so that the crew and everyone know that it's not been messed with beforehand. Coffee, tea and coffee. I could really do with a coffee at the minute. But very nicely done. Into the cabin. Love the footprint sounds. Very nicely done. Anything clickable? Overheads don't seem to be clickable. But very nicely modelled. Looking at this close to, nice 3D modelling, nice texturing. The lap belts are all nice to see that the lap belts are different. It's not just a copy. So what have we got? Sticky outy, crossed over, above and below, crossed over, sticky outy. So obviously, you know, you have to bear in mind the limits of the modelling. Interesting thing is that the FS Labs wouldn't let me go down this far, but this will. Really nicely modelled cabin. Flight attendant seat isn't working there, but yeah, really nicely modelled. No qualms at all about this. Interphone's not modelled, but yeah, just I find these red metallics really impressive. Really impressive. Backs of the seats, obviously you've got all your various leaflets, pamphlets, etc. Very orange, obviously being EasyJet. Lovely sounds as we trudge your way through. Yeah, really nice. Really impressed. These don't come down, do they? No, not really bothered. I always sit in the big seat at the front. I say big seat at the front. It's not that big in these things, is it? Right. Next thing is we'll get some power on. We'll see what it sounds like and see what the noises are. But as I say, at the moment I'm sat there thinking the 3D modelling, the texture, the lighting, the additional effects of the fingerprints, all very good, done to a very good standard. Very happy indeed with that. So we've got ground power applied, but let's just get the batteries on and then we can listen to things come alive. Yes, nice. I'm not going to follow any checklists with this, but as I say, now we can have a look at the lighting, listen to the sounds. Fault light flickering on and off. Various lights flickering. Very nicely done. Very nicely done. We'll pop those on to allow them to start their settings. Obviously from playing around with the switches, packs off there, we want the pack on. I'm just going to put these on because I can. I'm going to be a rebel. What we're going to do now is we're going to come down and we're going to find how we get our checklist back up, our tablet. In fact, while we're here, we will actually do this as well. Great for the external noises. How do I get this to move back? Where's the click spot? Where's the click spot? Is it up here? No. Let's just change my seating position, see if this helps out. I can't find a click spot for it, which is a pain because obviously I need to shut the thing as well. Oh, well, that's interesting. Hopefully we don't have to reload the aircraft. Is there a... There's no handles around. That would be the handle, wouldn't it? Let's just go slow and see if we can do anything with it. Ah, there we go. Found it. And these things, I believe they have a ratchet so they can't undo. Normally a little click spot somewhere. A little latch of some description. I think it's down on here, is it? Is this it? Yeah. Nice to hear the noises change as you go outside as well. Yeah, that's it. So nice animations, nice to see things like that available to us. Also the sound's changing, very, very good. The immersion factor is very high with this. Right, tablet again. I don't want to move that, do I? How did I get rid of the tablet? How did I get rid of that tablet? Is it up here? Ah, this is just a... Where did it... Ah, microphone, there we go. Right, let's zoom in. Dismiss that, not interested in that. So the tablet for me is, for Fenix, has always been pretty good. I find it to be very intuitive. And as I say, looking around the cabin by the way as well, we're getting anything between 90 and 120 frames per second, which is quite good for me. As I say, my PC specs are going to be in the description, so if you want to know what I'm running, it will be there. So I find this, having used this a lot, I find it very almost second nature. But you come in here, tap to import from SimBrief, it should bring an error plan, dismiss that, EGPH to EGNX. We're not going very far at all, we just need to get airborne to show the systems. So that's that. Ground services, we know what we've got. What we will do is we'll start to close things up in a moment. So we might as well close that, mass and balance. I'm going to do it instantly so it's not an issue. So load aircraft, instant. See the aircraft bob up and down out there, dismiss. It's got our CFG and our weights up here, so we're well within the limitations of the aircraft. Happy days. Panel states, if you wanted to change panel states, you do it down here. And then finally sim settings on the end. With the sim settings, you can customize it to match an individual airline's setup, which I find to be really good. Also, you can set up things like brake fans. DCDU is digital CDU, I think. No, sorry, I'm thinking about DDRMI, which is... where's it gone? Where's it gone? Digital RMI. It's not on, is it? That's going to be Y. And then obviously the metrics standard standby. You can have ISIS or analog. So the analog is this one. Here's your DDI, your standby direction indicator. DDMRI, we'll have that off and we'll just put that back to modern. DCDU, what's that one then? Not entirely sure, but there we go. Satcom antenna, European or American. We'll obviously stick with European because it's a European airline. Then obviously you've got things like airline modifiables, cabin if you want to change the cabin, controls to set up various controls for bits and bobs, radar, altimeter callouts for when you're coming into land or as required, units if you want to change it to basically metric or imperial, GSX, which I don't generally use. That's a very personal thing. I know some people will do so, some people won't. And then finally cabin announcements, you can enable them and mute them on task switch, etc. So very, very straightforward in terms of that. Departure, we'll go through the departure in a bit. Arrival, we'll go through the arrival in a bit. Charts, if you've got Navigraph, then it connects up nicely, does a very nice job of it. I will say that it's better than the FS Labs in that respect. I find it more intuitive. You don't have to load individual charts, etc. The pilot brief, exactly what you'd expect. Basically, documents are available here. Fenix CFM QRH. And this is one of the things for me, as I mentioned earlier about the documents, I find this to be, I like to be able to, I've got two monitors, I'm fortunate in that respect. I like to be able to bring these up onto different monitors. I find that, you know, clicking through this and moving these around, I find clicking through to be a bit of a pain. 249 pages for the CFM QRH. So the QRH, by the way, if you're not familiar with it, is a quick reference handbook or basically it's a guide for if you have something happened in the aircraft. It doesn't have to be an emergency per se, but something changed in the aircraft, then it will give you a checklist to run through in terms of managing that situation. But you've got the CFM, the IAE, which is absolutely fine, and then you've got the user guide. And so yes, we've got a user guide. It's only 13 pages long though, which I find surprising for such a complex aircraft. And likewise, again, I find it a bit awkward with the fact that it's here as opposed to either a standalone document. Oh, we've got a folder here. Does this take us? Yes, actually I take it all back. Take it all back, because click on the little folder. I've only just seen it. Bosh, here it is. Having said that, I think the documentation could maybe have a little bit more detail to it. So what have we got here? I don't want that. Get rid of that. What do we have here? Content. So Phoenix application options, aircraft config, EFB. It's not really the most in-depth manual. As I say, I do like tutorials. Having said that, there's also an awful lot in terms of YouTube stuff and just general assistance in terms of these things. But as I say, I don't think it's the greatest manual. I don't think documentation is their strength. Let's just load this one up and see. Yeah, this is a more useful document, but obviously the issue is that it's for abnormal situations, abnormal and emergency procedures. So realistically, there's not a lot of help within the systems that I can see that will help you with actually operating the aircraft, which is a real shame. So I think that's a bit of a weak point. As I say, back to the flight plan here. If you want to have a look at that stuff, oh, we've just done that one, haven't we? Failures, if you want to go through the failure modelling, as I say, there's a lot of failure modelling that you can go through with this aircraft. Obviously, dismiss that. Obviously, with the failure modelling, the advantage is that obviously you've got these circuit breakers to then play around with. We won't do that on this flight because obviously I don't want it to be hours long. And then you can have failed armed and reload everything. So failure modelling is an option for those who want to go down that route. I think sometimes it's fun to do that just to push yourselves a little bit. And then we get EFB settings, ACARS, ACP, volume control. Sim settings are down here. In fact, that's back to where we were, isn't it? Sim settings back to the start. Reboot the EFB if you want to, and sleep mode, which will put it into like a darkened mode, so that you can quickly well, I assume, let's have a look here, it's 117, 118. Let's put it into a dark mode and see what happens to a sleep mode and see if it changes this up here. Not really. I mean, considering that, although I suspect it's still active, but let's try this then. Where was that click spot again? Was it there? No, where was the click spot? Oh, this is useless, isn't it? Ah, the microphone. Does that change the frames per second? No. So it's not really having a hit on frames a second. The my flights were loaded in. Ground services, I'm quite happy with where we stand with that. Mass and balance, we've loaded that in. So, as I say, I've also got the WinWing MCDU, so I'll set up our flight, and in fact we'll just discuss lighting at the moment. I don't know how accurate the panel colorings are. What I do know is that they seem to be very good. I think this works down here, but I'm not familiar with it. The CDLC setup. Not sure how you even turn the thing on. Let's try the brightness. No. It's clicking, so obviously we should be able to do something. Maybe it's linked to the MCDU. I don't know. I don't know. But the screens all look good. They've got a slightly faded effect to them. They're not ridiculously bright. You can obviously change the brightness of the screens as a whole. And again, these knobs all look worn and well used, which is very good. They also don't necessarily always look exactly the same. Strange little line down here, being ultra picky, but the lighting looks nice. Very nice indeed. And it's simple little things like these screws are never going to be in the same orientation, so they've obviously taken the time just to move these around individually, which is great. But yeah, so the lighting's great as well, but the reflections really do make a huge difference. Right, let's come down here. I'm going to be using my system, my MCDU, but we'll have a look at the MCDU here. So sorry, my WinWing MCDU. We'll have a look at the system here. So let's go to config, top right, and you can see the simulator control. You can do various things. So if I just click on fuel, we can then see what fuel we've got on board, and we can fuel accordingly should we wish to. Packs, cargo, exactly the same thing. So you don't have to necessarily go through the tablet. You can also do it through this pathway, but it also gives, for example, the CFG of the aircraft at the moment, the zero fuel weight, etc. So very nice bits of information. Not quite sure what the log is, but it doesn't seem to work anyway at the minute. Maintenance is unavailable. Pause near top of descent. I'm quite forgetful, so I'll go and do another thing, and so if you want, you can do that, although it doesn't seem to be doing anything for me. It says unavailable. I wonder why. Maintenance, obviously you've got various maintenance requests that you can make, which is associated with the failure modelling. Manual failures, random failures, you can choose what you want up here, so that's absolutely right. Well, that's absolutely fine, I should say. And controls config are down here as well if you want to set up your controls. Absolutely fine. Go back to the MCDU menu. Got maintenance, which is basically a more in-depth system with all the maintenance of what you can do, flight freeze, etc., and so on and so forth. Let's just get rid of that mode. You can reset the FMS and all sorts from there. Coming back here, ATSU, if you want to then use the air traffic units, you can do. AOC, coming up here, we're going to initialize our flight, and we're going to bring it in with the initialize data request at the bottom right. Star's going to pop back up in a moment. And also it's going to fill boxes with what our flight is today, which is Griffin 42 Charlie. Let's go back to the AOC menu. If you want to do an ATC request here, this is where you can do your clearances if you wish to do so, but I'm not going to do so today. Weather and ATIS is down on the right hand side, so weather request, we will put one in, EGPH, and we'll see what we get with that. And we want the METAR, send that. Return. We'll also call down the ATIS, which is going to be the same thing, EGPH, and if we get both, don't always, then we'll see what we get in terms of the differences between the two layouts. Diversion, if you want to set up a diversion, you can do. It's very in-depth. Free text messages, and then we'll just go to receive messages, what we've got. Load sheet, well, the first one's going to be the original one when we load it in, so we'll just accept that, return. This is going to be the one now we've loaded the aircraft, so you can see all the information there. I'm just going to accept that and return. The weather, yes, we've got weather for Edinburgh, not a problem. And then the ATIS, we've got a more in-depth ATIS here. So yeah, let me just jot down a couple of these numbers so that I can put them into the system. So let's go to the ATIS. What do we got? 240 at 10. 240 at 10. 10 broken cloud's not going to affect. 1917. And then what have we got? QNH 1014. Happy days. Happy days. So return from that, and as you can see, basically it's a fully functioning MCDU. Very well done. It's very slick. I've had no issues with it whilst I've been using it. There's been no crashes or anything, and as I say, it seems to be absolutely 100% fully functional with the WinWing MCDU, which is great because I've started using that a lot. So back to the MCDU menu, FMGC, we've got a CFM 56-5-B4, everything we would want to check would be in here. and then we're going to go to initialize. Now we're going to request an init, give it a minute. I don't think we've got company root, but I do think whether it comes up with one, yeah, none. What is it, W I think it is. And we said 42 Charlie. So this is and where's my sim brief gone? Let's get some numbers up. EGPH, view flight plan. We're going up to 270 and the cost index is 53. Wow. And 270. It's not a particularly long flight, but there we go. Having done that, we can't do this yet really. We want to put our flight plan in so it's got something better to work out. Going into departure, and as you can see, it's a pretty well functioning setup. I haven't had any issues with this. What departure are we doing? We're doing the Gossamer 1 Charlie. Gossamer 1 Charlie. So there we go. Let's pop that in. Check that we've got no discontinuities. And then we get to EGNX. Our arrival is going to be ILS into 27. Is it ILS 27 with the wind? Yeah, ILS 27 Croft 1 Echo. Croft 1 Echo. And then let's have a look at what we've got as a veer. Veer rock up. There we go. Return. Pop that in. Now I just have to redo my mini cockpit DLS. Get that up. You'll notice as well the frames are down to 60 frames a second now, which isn't the greatest. Right, mini cockpit DLS is up and running, so that's great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my MCDU just for this. But we're going to come up and we're going to go Bosch, bring our view down here. Have we got it set up? Yeah, we've got it set up here. Bring our view down and we're just going to have a look at our tracks. So plan, we'll expand the range a little bit. We'll go back to EGPH and then we'll scroll through these and see how we get on. Return. And then EGPH coming out here. In fact, what we will do is we'll also pop the constraints on while we go. Why have you done that? Mini cockpit DLS. And reset that. And then that'll sort itself out. If you want me to do a quick review of the mini cockpit stuff, then feel free, and I'll do one of those if you just drop a line in the comments. Right, there we go. I'm back. So as I say, coming down here, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look for any discontinuities. I'm just going to pop the constraints on so we can have a look at them as we go. Constraints are, so initially uniform whiskey above 2,300 feet, then above 4,000 feet at Delta 081 Echo, then 6,000, and then we're away. So let's have a look, see how we get on, make sure there's no discontinuities. Flight level 200 at Mike Charlie Tango, then down to Vegar Trent. A little bit of a dance around rock up, and then we come back down towards East Mids. Lovely. Let's press that again, get to the start of that, get rid of that, and then all good to go. So this is the kind of thing that makes it very nice when you've got some hardware that actually works with it. I haven't got the WinWing FCU, so I don't know how that copes with it, but certainly the mini the mini cockpit stuff works very well. It sometimes drops out. It's not 100% reliable, I would say, but I do find it to be very good. Now that we're away from the screens, you can see we're back up to 100 frames a second, which is very nice. So we'll get this thing started in the most basic way. We're not going to start faffing around with all the checklists. We could do, obviously, but they don't necessarily tell us anything about the aircraft, whereas completely mishandling it, which I do, will obviously tell us a lot. If I can break it, then obviously it's either me or the aircraft, and we then determine which of the two it is that's at fault. So that'll be firing up. I do need to do a couple of checks down here, so we'll pop the seatbelts on, pop the no smoking on, and then we'll pop those to arm. And being an Airbus, basically you're checking that all the lights are out. That's the main thing. Oh, we haven't finished down here, have we? We need to go back to the init B page, do our fuel plan. So can we do it with this? Nope. What we do is we go over to here, dismiss, send that there. That's the load sheet, basically. Go back, performance, calculate. Oh no, we need to sync the load sheet, sync the live weather, calculate, send to MCDU. We can then come back down here. So it's done all our block fuel, etc., which is nice. And then we can go to not progress, we can go to perf and just double check all the figures. We're happy with that. With flaps 1 down 0.5 and the speeds 140, 140, 141. That all looks good. Happy days. Right, this should be up and running, so we can put the APU bleeds on. Oh, we didn't even start it, did we? That's getting very remiss. Very remiss. Should come up with the APU page, which it has done. And we'll watch it do its funky thing, EGT. Just watching that. Accelerating on the speed. EGT maxed out 798. Nice. And then we just wait for the clunk. If anybody knows, I don't know if it's a DLSS thing, why my needles are slightly blurry and all the animations in the cockpit are slightly blurry. I think that might be down to the anti-aliasing. APU gen's on, so let's come up here. We'll put the bleed on as well. That's what we shouldn't have put on. The probe heat, window heat, we didn't need that on. Right, pushback. Pushback is very basic in this. I haven't necessarily got an issue with that, but obviously it depends on the individual very much as to how they feel about it. So having done all of that, let's come here and go to here. We can disconnect everything ground services wise, so we can disconnect chocks and cones, turn the GPU off, it goes clunk, and then we can connect the tug. I changed a button on my controller and now I can't just do the outside view. Hasn't actually connected a tug, which is a shame. But we'll see how we get on, shall we? Just trying to go backwards. We haven't got any chocks in, have we? Doesn't look like it, does it? Oh, this is a pain for my system. It's squatting as if it wants to do so. Oh, God, you're being a bit thick, aren't you, you silly person? Silly, silly individual. Let's take the brake off. Let's take the brake off. Here we go. And cabin announcements, and what we'll do is we'll go and start the left engine. What runway we're on? 24, so we want to put the nose to the left. We'll see how we get on with driving the thing. Here the engine spooling up, very nice. Right, which way does this go? Let's go, 50% chance. Yes. We haven't given ourselves enough room, have we? I don't think so. Let's just stop. Put the brakes on. As well, steering's working. Disconnect. Pedals work, that doesn't. Yeah, happy days, we're going to be able to steer. That's always going to be a winner. And then what we'll do is we'll start the second engine, we'll go outside, have a listen to the sounds. So, nice to hear the cabin announcements. Have we missed something with engine 2? No. Here we go. The animation's a bit of a step there. You obviously saw that, I would have thought. Oof. Semi see-through. Spinner's looking good. Everything's looking very good. Now I wonder if I increase the power, if that's going to increase, although we're in the wrong camera mode for that, but never mind, eh? Let's see what the sound is like. Behind. Nice heat haze effect, and unlike the FS Labs, we haven't got a hole here where we're looking straight through to nothing. So all very good, very nice. Just get this up as well while I think about it. Let's pop that there, and let's just pop the flight plan in so that that's ready to go. So that's 2 good starts. Let's get that off. Let's play Light Simulator. Oh, we didn't do it to start with, did we? The beacon can go on. The taxi light can go on. The nav lights are on. We can then now turn that off. We don't need that. We don't need that. As I say, I'm not going to do it by the book necessarily. We'll see how we get on with our steering and ground handling. It seems to be very nice so far already. Ground handling's good, it's smooth and progressive. There's nothing sort of causing me any grief. It's trundling along, both engines are idle. We'll come around here. We need to do a few bits and bobs before we get going. This is Edinburgh by Pyrig, I think. I don't know how to pronounce the name, but it's nicely done. I tend to fly out of here quite a lot, or fly in, because it's got quite interesting approach setup, which is always good. We like things to be a little bit more interesting. Aircraft just about to take off. We're just taking off, I should say. Get back on the taxi line, will you, Richard? You know you can do better than that. You know you can do better than that. Just need to set that to 6,000. Make sure that's all good to go. Not going to bother with the QNH because we're going to be climbing up to a flight level very shortly. I'm just going to let it do its own thing. I'm not worried about whether it's accurate or not. We're not flying online, so we can cope with that. Frame rate still up nice and high, 85 to 90 to 100, which is good. Try and not taxi on the grass, it gets a little bit sticky. Gets a little bit sticky. Just noting nothing on the approach at the moment. Which reminds me, we need to pop TCAS etc. on, all the good stuff. We'll do it all at the hold. So yeah, the ground handling is very nice, very progressive. There's nothing scary. It's not lurching or causing me any grief. It seems to be very well done. Sounds like the cabin crew are ready to go. We'll just bring it to the halt and get ready, get the rest of our bits and bobs done. Pop that on. Let's just come down here, and down here I need to do the following. That needs to go to on, and that needs to go to there. This is going to be staying at 2000, so we'll turn that on. And then obviously turn that on. And we've got flaps 1 set. What did we say is the performance? Down 0.5. Down 0.5, that's about there. And then we're going to go through and make sure that we've not missed anything. Spoilers armed. Yes, we need to do that. There we go. Max auto brake signs are on. Cabin ready. Spoilers are armed. Flaps set to take off. Config, just need to test that. Just need to set the parking brake off. Config's all good. Just about to go onto the runway, so we can play Light Simulator. Bosh bosh, bosh bosh, bosh. That's all good. If I've forgotten anything, well, we're not going to die, so I'm not really bothered about that. Final look up the approach. Doesn't seem to be anything there, which is all nice. We're not going to cause a massive issue. Well, you're going the wrong way, aren't you? So one took off the correct direction, one took off the incorrect direction for the active runway, which is 24. Weird. Never mind. Bring ourselves round. I need to sort my feet out with my pedals because I've got a couple of metal bars where they are, and it causes me problems because I keep catching my feet on the metal bars. I suppose I should have smaller feet, but right. Having a look at what's happening with the power. Away we go, looking for 141. I think it was 140, 140, 141, wasn't it? Fairly easy to keep on the centre line, although the weather conditions are quite benign. The sounds are very good, enjoying those, and let's rotate. Decent pull. Nice sound as the wheels are sort of rattling around. We're drifting slightly right. Gear coming up. And pitching for the bars. And I'm just going to pop the autopilot in to see how it gets on, and then leave us back into climb. There we go. Now the noises of the detents aren't very high there, which for me is a little bit awkward because I'm then just watching here. I haven't got a physical detent set up on, or detent set up on my controls, so one of the things that's nice is to get that audible confirmation that you are actually going into an actual gate, which is fine, I suppose. Climbing nicely. We need to be above 2,300. Here we are, and then we're going to start to turn right. And initially we're going up to 4,000. Well, we've got to be above 4,500. Accelerating up to 250. There's no speed constraints other than below 10,000 feet. Turning nicely to the right. Seems to be behaving itself really nicely. As I say, the flight director, if you look at the needles, they seem to be, I think this is not going to be to the aircraft, I think this is the sim. But when they move, they seem to be blurring slightly, and that seems to be a common thing in the cockpit, and I think that's a DLSS thing, but I'm not sure about turning down the anti-aliasing. So there we go. Right, as we're going now, we're going to have a little look at the MCDU. So I'm going to start to play around with the MCDU, but I'll try and keep this highlighted. We'll just expand it out a little bit so we can see what's going on. Leveling at 6,000, which is what we expect. Probably should do some after takeoff checks. Which way have I got this? I don't want it open. Somebody might come and be very bad to us. No, the actual physical door's open, isn't it? Because I opened it. Can I reach a click spot from here? That looks promising. There we go. Right, we're nicely on our departure. I don't know how to recharge this thing. Is there a power lead? Is there a power lead for this? I mean, if it is a power lead issue, I'm mightily impressed, but I'm also at the same time a bit sort of, oh, because that'd be exceptionally detailed. Is that a power lead there? Where do I plug in a power lead for this? There we go. Recharge it. I mean, that's next level detail, isn't it? The fact that you can run your tablet down and right, let's do an open climb to 270. Up we go. And then the Q&H goes to standard. Now the performance is still pretty good. I must admit I didn't pay attention to what it was doing when I was taxiing and taking off, but the scenery here isn't the most complex. Not sure if I can set my level of detail to go slightly further out. If I'm getting 100 odd frames a second showing there, I probably can, because obviously I've got this point here, this line where the trees are stopping. So I've still got obviously the textures, which is great, but that line for me bugs me. Right, so in terms of taking off, typical Airbus, there's nothing scary about that. It did exactly what I expected it to do, which is great. Noises are okay for me. I don't think they're anything to write home about, but they do the job adequately. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to be critical of. The only things, as I say, I'm critical of is the sounds, really. The graphics and 3D modelling, the effects are all very good. 10,000 feet, accelerating. So let's take these off. We'll also check the pressurization. So see what we're getting in terms of air conditioning. That all looks good. And then pressurization. We are pressurizing, which is great. Currently 2,700 feet cabin altitude. Happy days. Turning around to the left, continuing the climb, and I'm just going to put it onto managed so that we can have a chat about the McDo. So let's come down here, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a play with the McDo. We're going to see, just show a few things. So this is one of the few things about let's see if I can share the screens both together, but for example, let's go back to our flight plan. If we now go from maxiv, you can see now what we've got is the option to do a lateral revision from the present position. We can do an offset here, so we can do we'll do 1 mile to the right. Did I get it the right way around? No, yes I did. And you can see now we've got this dotted yellow line, which is our proposed flight. So coming off our current position, we would then go to 1 mile right of plan. We'll do it 3 right so that we can get a bigger indication. It will show us slightly further out, and then we'll click temporary insert, and it will now put us off. And you'll see our current intended flight path is a solid line. Our original flight path is that one there, which is absolutely fine. That's exactly how it should be. It's just setting itself up to play around with that now. And I've found that the McDo is pretty comprehensive. Now, one of the things I would say is it's very difficult to know which version of McDo and software it's running. You know, there's little giveaways in terms of whether it's Hollywell or Thales, judging on the button here, for example. I mean, obviously you can, if you know what you're doing, you could probably go and find more information about it to figure it out. But for example, there's some simple visual aids. So for example, in some aircraft, this button is like a rocker switch. It looks like one switch, whereas here obviously it's 2. Just to mention this, obviously that all works as you would expect. I mean, it's basically fully featured. So as you can see, this line obviously goes off into the distance, forever and a day. So if we put the miles up, you can see it comes up to this sort of point up here. So where are we? That's 120 miles it's drawn, just before the top of descent. So it's a fair old distance that it will draw. But let's have a look at a couple of other bits. Okay, so if you want to get out of it, you can just cancel it. So you can go to top of descent reached. I don't think so. We haven't reached our top of descent at all. We're nowhere near it, are we? Surely we're not near our top of descent. We haven't even finished climbing. Let's have a quick look. We've got traffic as well on the screen. Let's have a quick look. We've got miles to go yet. We can't have reached top of descent, have we? Let's have a look. Progress. Level 280 report. Let's just pop this in. So E G N X. We're not necessarily going to fly the route properly, but we'll pop that in there just so we've got a distance and an indication. So 189 miles, there's no way we're near top of descent. So back to flight plan. A couple of ways we can get rid of this. We can obviously just reduce the range a bit. We can obviously just cancel it. So if we go to elusive offset, and then if we just do 0, that will cancel it, or you can just do a direct 2. So you'll see that the line now will go back to our original track, and we will turn to the left and re-intercept that. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to go quite far off to the right. So we're going to go from here, offset, we're going to go 5 miles to the right. In fact, we'll go 6 miles to the right. Can only go to 5 miles, it would appear. In fact, we'll do a different sort of join. So return from there, we'll do a direct 2, and we'll have a look at a couple of the direct 2s. So we can do a normal direct 2, which would be to nav. So for example, insert, and it'll go direct to navso now. It's not going to make much difference because of how close we are in terms of being near to our track anyway, but one of the things we could do from this position is we could then choose to intercept something. So we can do, here we go, direct, where are we going, Bebney. We can then do a radial in or a radial out. So let's do a radial in of, let's do 360, see what that gives us. 360 there. It should give us, no, so let's do, we just, what's a 17050, something like that. That gives us a direct in there. So what we can now do is we can take control of our heading. Let's bring it out here, so that we're going to be off our track. Bring it quite far around. Bring ourselves off, and you can see we've now got some interesting lines. So the dashed yellow is our proposed direct to coming in on that radial to Bebney. The dashed green line was our original path, and so you can see the dashed yellow comes in and then rejoins the original path and then goes up here. Our actual path is our solid green line here, which is our heading we're coming around to, almost parallel on an outbound this route here. In fact, what we'll do, cancel that, direct to, we'll go to DCS, and what did we say, 06, let's do 060, slightly further out, pop that in. You can see what we've got now is a slightly bigger chance to turn in and intercept. Now, because of how far off track we are, we're not going to be able to intercept because we are 7 miles off track. So if I do a direct to from here, it's not going to be able to do anything, I wouldn't have thought. So direct to, no nav intercept it's come up with down here. So I need to be on some sort of nav intercept route. So what we're going to do now is we'll bring ourselves back round to the right, where we are going to have an intercept. I'm going to go all the way around 0624, take 30 off that 210. 200 will do. And once we come round, we're just going to do it, set it all up again. So direct to DCS, and we want the inbound, what did we say, 061 as the radial, and then that's us there. And you can see it's also calculated our intercept point here, where we're anticipating intercepting our track, which is, as we're turning right, obviously it's coming in closer and closer and closer. Choose this as say 180 I think, or 170. And then if I do direct intercept now, you'll see it's come up with our intercept here. And then if I want to change that, if I want to, we'll see how it flies it. In the meantime, let's go to let me see, MCDU down here, ATSU, we want the AOC menu, we want the ATIS at EG, where are we going, NX, pop that in there for the arrival, send, and then receive messages. Let's see what we get. ATIS, I'm just going to make a quick note of this. No ATIS available, never mind. So we'll go back to here, We'll go to AOC menu, we'll go to weather request, EGNX, there, METAR, send, return, receive messages, weather. Looks like it's joining it nicely here, look, while we're messing around. It's come back it's followed all the way around to our heading, to the intercept point here, look. It's done exactly what I would have hoped for. Right, so what have we got as the METAR? We've got, or the weather data, I should say, 250 at 10. So it's going to be 27. All the 9s broken to 8, 23, nice and high temp, and 1017. So I'm just going to pop that in whilst we're waiting for this to sort its life out. We'll just pop that back onto there. And if you look here, we've still got a dot here. So when you're doing the intercept, it will come up with a heading, which is your heading that you've given it to fly towards the intercept. And as long as it's got the dots, that means it's ready to complete the intercept. So if you haven't got that dot, it's not going to do its direct to. Or if you haven't got the dot, it can't do the direct to. But normally if you can't do the direct to, it will come up and notify you that there's no intercept path. But it's kind of cool. It is really kind of cool. So let's just get our. I wish we could have. Can we? No, we can't. It's got a hand. It's got the hand icon over it. So I just wish we could pop it out. Right, I've got the data. So EFW ops. What have we got here? Send ADC for. Blah blah blah. See ADC delay. I'm going to ignore that. Going to ignore that completely. So what I want to do now is go back into perf. Next phase, next phase, next phase. And what do we say? QNH was 1017. Temperature was 23. And then 250 at 10. At 10. That pops in there. That all looks good. ILS, we're going to see if we can do a Autoland. See what it's going to let it, whether it, how it copes with it. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to get my words out for. We're now doing our intercept, by the way. You can see we've turned right for our intercept point towards DCS, and then we're going to turn left and continue. And then up here you can see we've got our descent points. That strange early message about the descent point was not strictly correct. But that's all the messing around with the MCDU I'm going to do at the minute. As you can see, it's pretty much fully functional. There's, if you're a full-on Airbus pilot, there's probably a lot more you can do with this than I can. But from a sim perspective point of view, it's pretty good. I wonder if I can do, if I click that, fix info, and you can have a look here. So we could do, what have we got in terms of our nav here? There's our waypoints. Is that VAMEB or Lakey? VAMEB. So we could do here, down here. Yeah, VAMEB. Let's do VAMEB 16. Let's do a waypoint out to the left of VAMEB. So where are we going? PB01, let's call it. It won't find it in the database. Not in the database, that's not what I'm planning to do, is it? Let's go back here. VAMEB. So from Lakey, next waypoint is PB01, and it won't find it because it's not in the database. It will then ask me to create the waypoint. We're going to do it from VAMEB as a point bearing distance, so VAMEB /360/5. Pop that in there, and you can now see that we've got that information in. So store that. We've got that waypoint in, so we can now go to let's see, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to go to flight plan, VAMEB. No, we want Lakey. Next waypoint is going to be PB01. Pop that in there, and you can see now, if I just zoom in slightly, we're at a very long range here. We've got PB01 out to the left of VAMEB, or out to the north of VAMEB, I should say. Let's just insert that. It will now come up with a discontinuity because it doesn't know how we're going to get from PB01 to VAMEB, which is to be expected. So you can mess around with all that sort of thing, which is just really good fun. Then of course, if you wish, let me see, let's go PB02, so next waypoint PB02. It's got no idea where PB02 is, so let's have a look at what we can do. So 16, so yeah, let's do 060. So PB, let's see if we can do it direct off that, /060 at, let's do a bigger mileage, 10. See if we can do that now. And then that will put it out there. Store. Go back to flight plan. Next waypoint PB02. The next waypoint. And then that pops it out there. So that's going to go out there. So let's insert that for a bit of fun. It's now going to turn left out there, and then what we're going to do is, once we get round to that, we're going to go direct to Croft. But you'll get to the point where if you keep messing around with this, it just becomes like a rabbit hole, a never-ending game of playing around with the systems. So let it come around. I want us to get a little bit of distance from where we're going. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to do the Lakey. It's going towards PB01. I can see if this is a me thing. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to do a direct to with the beam points. So let's just get rid of that discontinuity. You see it's come up with this really rather weird drawing, but I've got no issues with that. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go, where did I say we want to go? Let's go to Calder. So direct to Calder, because we're now quite far with the beam points. And then let's direct insert that. And what you can now see is that Calder's here, so if hopefully we can come around the corner a bit better and see it in a moment. Here we go. This white diamond here is now in a beam point, so this is us turning back onto our track. Our track is up here where we're going to rejoin it. We've got our descent point coming in as well here, so we're not that great with time, but this is where we're rejoining to get back to Calder. So as you can see now, we're coming around to our waypoint here, a beam Vameb, and we've got a beam Ubuntu, and then we go back onto our intended course, which is Calder Croft. You can also see our descent point is starting to come in. First constraint is flight level 200, so I'm just going to pre-select that, make sure it's got control rather than me. And when we get to this point, we're going to give it permission to descend. But despite, you know, all the things I've been throwing at it, it's been behaving very nicely. In fact, what we might do is where have we got Croft? Let's go up to Croft. Hold. We're going to do an inbound course of let me see, 210, and then if we have a right turn, no, what's the opposite of 210? It's 030. There we go, and what we can see is if it does the right entry, so temporary insert, and then we'll let it fly here, and as you look at the entry here, coming in here, it should be a teardrop join, so it should come in, spin around here, come in and join for the inbound course here. So we'll see how it gets on with that, but as I say, we're holding over Croft. And this is a teardrop join, joining the hold, so it should come over Croft, do an outbound leg of the teardrop, and then it should join here and go into the hold. It should also go to its holding speed, which is an important part of what it's supposed to be doing. What we'll also do is when we get there, we're going to make sure that we're in a position to descend to flight level 200. I'm just going to have a quick glance at the charts to see what sort of constraints there may be. So I'll bring this over actually. We're coming into Croft here, we're actually going to hold at Croft. So we've set ourselves up for a hold here. From here we're going to go down to the Manchester VOR, Mike Charlie Tango, flight level 200, and then we're coming down here and then we're going to join up, we'll go to Rock Up. I might well just vector us around rather than go through all this stuff here, and then we're going to come in for a 27 landing at East Mids. We'll see how we get on with that. But yeah, it's a fun little thing. Let's have a look at the chart. As I say, we're going to come in for a Cat 3, 0 on the decision height. Just having a look here. It will tune all the beacons because it's an Airbus, but with 10935 is what we're going to check with India Echo Mike Echo. Final approach course 263, mandatory 2,000 feet platform. So we're not doing the locator and coming in doing the procedural ILS, but we're going to come out to about 8 miles, come back in on the platform. 5.2 descend 3-degree glide slope, and so long since it did me instrument rating, and even then I only ever flew to Cat 1 doing my test. So I've never done airline operations, so I've never done a Cat 3 approach obviously. Let's just come around here, see how we're doing. So we're doing the correct join, we're doing a teardrop, we're doing it quite aggressively. Normally you sort of fly a little bit more gently, I would have thought. We've passed Croft, we're going into the hole at Croft. Again, there's a couple of ways you can get out the hole. You can just cancel it with an immediate exit, or you can do a direct to. But let's see if it joins it. Aircraft 7,000 feet below us, above us. I wonder if we can see it. Where is it? Just right. No. But it's joining it nicely. It's come down to a holding speed. Now I think the Airbus, from what I'm aware, the holding speed is automatically calculated by the systems, which is absolutely fine. I'm noting that we haven't got a great deal in terms of our margin with our manoeuvring here. I wonder if we can... Yeah, it doesn't like the flap going down, does it? Oh, didn't want that. Flight control, flap lever not to 0. Yeah, I'm fine with that because it's giving us a better margin away from the stall. But it's joining the hold nicely. So what we'll do now is we'll do a direct to get out. So we're going to go direct to Mike Charlie Tango. Direct Mike Charlie Tango. Direct insert. And we'll start on our way down, and we need to get rid of the flaps because we're going to accelerate. And come back round to the left. Top of descent reach. What we'll do is we'll continue all the way down to the next point actually, which is going to be, let's call that up. Okay, so as you rejoin me, I'm just hand flying it for a little bit just to have a bit of fun with it, see how it flies. Obviously I'm using force feedback stick, so and being an Airbus, it will just literally wherever I put it. So if I put it in this position, it will just hold that position. If I come over here, whatever position I put it in terms of an attitude, it will hold that position. Likewise, if I try and do something really stupid, it will stop me from doing that stupid thing. So there we go, I think it's 67 degrees or something like that. It will then try and correct me and bring me back to a roll, to a maximum bank. Let's just recover the aircraft from where we were going. Bring it back round. And so you can see, hand flying this, because it's got auto trim, I mean obviously we're in the normal law. Because it's got auto trim, it takes a lot of the trim stress away from you as if you're new to flying the aircraft. Because of the control laws, it means you can't do anything that you would otherwise cause yourself a hiccup with. So what we're going to do now is just going to shut the throttles. It's going to get lots of bleeps in a moment, and we're going to start to slow down. Auto throttles clicked off. I'm not going to slow down because we're in a bit of a descent. So let's play with the speed and we'll see if it will go into alpha floor. Well, it will do. Let's accelerate that a little bit more. And watch it come down. Let's assume we've been flying along, we're happily flying, we've not really been paying attention to what's going on. In this case, we've been manually flying the throttles, we're on some sort of approach. We're going low, we're on to 3 reds, we decide to pitch up a little bit, we forget about our speed. We're going to see what the aircraft does. Coming into the hatch markings. I'm just going to keep pulling up. No, I can't pull up anymore. Come on. Come on. That's restricting me from pulling up anymore. There we go. It's hit alpha floor, so it's automatically gone to full power. Come up with a master caution. That's going to help us get out of trouble. Let the speed build up. Don't let the speed build up too much. Put the auto throttle on and then try and find the climb detent. That's the problem without the noises and without the physical detents. You've got to kind of try and find it. There we go. Right. Lever asymmetry. That's just my controls. So we're still going around we're joining our hold now. Still coming around. We're doing absolutely fine. We're going to go towards rock up. But actually once we get to rock up, then we're going to self-position. What do we see? Let's prop it all back in, shall we? Autopilot 1 can come back in. We'll keep control of the speed for a bit and we'll see how it does. But yeah, it's a fantastic system. It's just a case of getting to grips with it, really. I think the Airbus systems are clearly unique in many respects. They were at the forefront of this sort of setup and technology. Other developers, obviously, or other aircraft developers obviously develop their own versions of this with equivalents to Alpha Floor, etc. But it makes it a fascinating aircraft, and whilst you can still be ham-fisted, you can still crash the thing, and you can still do things that will get you into trouble, the aircraft tries to stop you getting into trouble, which is always going to be beneficial. So I'll continue with this, and then what we'll do is we'll get down to the point where we're going to go down on the approach. We'll see how it does in terms of its auto land. But as I say, so we're just coming around here at the moment. We've done rock up, we're coming around here, and we're going to come down here. Rock up was flight level 80. We need to be above 5,000 here, and then we're going to come down to 4,000 at this point. Sorry, we're going to come down here, we're then going to come off here, come around above 3,000, come around to join the ILS for 27, 10935 for both, and the inbound course of going mad here, 268. So just to remind ourselves of that. And as you can see on the indications down here, we're going to come around, we're going to level. We're still above 5,000, so once we're through here, we're going to come down to 3,000. Bring ourselves down for that. It wants standard. What do we say it was? 1017. Happy days. Pop the landing system on. Yeah, I find that really weird. That's obviously a sim thing. I've had it in other aircraft where as soon as you click on an external window or whatever, you end up with this sort of massive drop in frame rate. Poor passengers have been thrown around like nobody's business today. Coming down to 3,000. We'll give it control of its speed again. Now we're looking like we're not doing too bad. So that was over 3,000. We're coming down to 3,000, but I think we're going to be okay in terms of distance and altitudes. Always looks lower than it is, really, doesn't it? But I've noticed that my graphics, I'm not getting much of the 3D these days. So as I say, I've had I keep getting the VRAM warnings. I think a lot of other people are getting those, which is a shame. Just going to bring down a stage of flap. Hear them whirring away in the background. I reckon I've still got spoiler out. Yes, I have. We'll set that up. Come up here, we'll set that up. That won't let us do it. If you press the wrong button, it won't let you do it. 10935, India Echo Mike Echo down here. It's all looking good. I might take control of the speed to come round here, because it's quite a tight turn, so we'll bring the speed back to about 180. Obviously being mindful of the flaps as we do. Got some indications on the landing system, so that's good. We're going to go below the glide slope. You always want to intercept from below the glide slope, although it can be done from above. It's not completely forbidden. Now initially we're going to intercept the localizer, not necessarily go straight into approach, because what we want to do is make sure we've got the correct lateral track before we start descending. Coming around to the right. And we need to go down to 2000 now. And watch it carefully like a hawk. Red alt's indicating. She's flying really nicely though. Doing a beautiful job of this ILS. Right, as we come around, we're just going to click localizer so it can intercept the localizer. Bring the speed down a little bit more. What do we say our approach speed was? 135. We're waiting for it to intercept the localizer. We're still below glide slope, which is good. Sort of thing we wanted. You can tell I've just gone onto my other monitor momentarily. And as we come round at 5.2, we're expecting our descent point. So we're at 9.9 at the moment. Gear coming down. Gear coming down, lights going on, spoiler is armed, flaps need to go to full, which we will do, although we could potentially wait till the top of the press approach, ready to go with that. At the moment we've got Cat 3 single. Once we initiate the descent, we'll start to go to Cat 3 dual. Whether or not this is the correct way to do it, no idea. We can bring our speed down a bit as well. Ready for nosing over. Here comes the glide slope. Glide slope's armed. Localizer is captured. Looking down here for 5.6, 5.7, 5.6, 5.4. It's 5.2, my bad. 5.3, 5.2. 2. We're expecting a descent point now. Airfield is visible, but I'm not really worried about that. I want to see how it does the Autoland, because I'm not the greatest at taking the systems off, if I'm honest. That's a me thing. I suppose I need to get some feet on my pedals, don't I? Feet on pedals. And we'll stick the second autopilot in. So we've got Cat 3 dual, radar altitude for 0. Got nice 2 whites, 2 greens out here, and just monitoring nicely on glide slope, nicely on localizer. It's doing a lovely job. It does better. It always does a better job than me. Always does a better job than me. And we're just coming down. We've got 90 frames a second. I don't know how heavy on the frame rate East Mids is. Got traffic in the on the road down here. I did a lot of my hours building out of here for my commercials. It's a really enjoyable place to fly out of. These buildings are new compared to where I was there. I think Amazon, this lot down here, like FedEx, DPD, but I'm not sure. I think this is Amazon. Not entirely sure. Shouldn't be gossiping at the minute. Should be paying attention. It's a bit of a bouncer, isn't it? Right, and we're down. We'll go all the way to the end, and then we'll I'm just going to, in fact I'll just stop here. I'm not going to bother with all the rest of it, and we'll just see how we get on. Get rid of you. Although we could do this tight turn and just clear the runway, but I don't. Yeah, let's just do a tight turn. It's there for our amusement, so let's amuse ourselves. A little bit of a stutter there, more likely to be the sim than anything else. There's a bit of a step here if I remember correctly. So as I say, I've got no issues with the externals at all. I think they've been done to a very high standard. The detail on things like the landing gear, etc. are really, really good. Colours, PBR, all that sort of stuff's really good. Interior, that for me is a bit of a difficult one, because flipping hell, how many jets we got here? Wow, where am I going to park? Is there anywhere over to the right? Not really. Well, there's a space. Yeah, the interior, if we're honest, it's very difficult to get excited about an Airbus interior, because an Airbus interior is an Airbus interior. There's not a great deal of variety to them. Have we got somewhere here? Can we get in here? I think it's a stand, isn't it? If it's not, then we'll just smash into everyone. But the interior, it's difficult to get excited about an Airbus interior for me. Oh, I've really hashed that up whilst I've been talking and looking down at my keyboard. But what they've done is they've done it very, very well. Not everything is clickable, which obviously is just how it is. Let's just stop ourselves there. Not everything's clickable. That's how it is. We'll just get some of this going. We'll Should have got rid of these, but who cares? Who's going to sue us? Who's going to sue us? Get rid of that. I don't think we did. We didn't even have the strobes on. How remiss is that? How remiss is that? Going to lose our job. We don't want that one. We want that one. Wait a couple of seconds, and then that one. Let that fire up, and then we'll shut down. Don't care about the side stick fault. It works quite well, so I don't know where the fault's coming up. But as I say, internal modelling, 3D modelling is very, very nicely done. The texturing is very nicely done. Things like the screens with the dirt on the screens, the fingerprints, etc., all very nicely done. The lighting, you can see a little bit more of it now, is very, very nicely done. The sounds are they just come across to me as a little bit weak. I don't know. As I say, if you sit in the cockpit of one of these all day, every day, then you're probably entirely aware of the sounds. But as a simmer, they seem a little bit weak. The MCDU is very good. It's very comprehensive. The fact that I've now found the documentation makes it even better. Having said that, the documentation is not particularly deep, is the best way to describe it. It's well done. It's just not particularly deep. Which for me is a little bit of a disappointment. But the other aspects of the MCDU all perfectly good. We didn't get to doing the arrival performance. Things like the charts are very, very good, so you can see that obviously we've flown all the way. Has it got our track on it? It should have it somewhere. Let me have it. That's we've flown all the way down to here somewhere. There's Begum. Oh, here's our flight plan, look. I'm being a bit silly. Down via rock up. Here we go. So charts on the tablet, very nicely done. The way they've done it is particularly good. As I say, you can also see the MSFS 2024 charts, should you wish to see those, as opposed to the Navigraph ones. It's all very well done. So the SimBrief integration is nice as well. That's well done. The failure modelling, we didn't do any, but the way that's set up, I really do like that. And then the settings to personalise the aircraft or set up with various things if you want to do a particular airline or a particular version of the aircraft is particularly good. So the interior I'm really happy with overall. I have to say I absolutely love this side stick, the way it is lit up and the way it moves around as well, the animations. We then get to the flying. It seems to have all of the right traits to me, although I'm not qualified as an Airbus pilot, but particularly with a force feedback stick, it's a very firm, positive but well damped setup. It's working well with the stick, it's working well with my mini EFIS, or my mini cockpit I should say. So overall its compatibility with stuff seems to be very good, particularly with the WinWing MCDU. That works very nicely indeed. So overall I think I come back to, is this the best Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 airliner, as a question? And I think for me as a package it is. I'm finding it very difficult to be overly critical about it. I'm finding that it's become a bit of a go-to aircraft in the sim, and for me that really does shout out. I mean, I've got the PMDG, I very rarely fly it. I've got the iFly, I very rarely fly it. Got the FS Labs, again I don't really fly that one. I always seem to come back to this one. Once you then add in the price point of £50 for a basic A320, which has, as I say, the 4 models, it becomes, as a high fidelity aircraft, a bit of a steal. The only thing I would say is that there are other aircraft out there that are more challenging to fly and or have more character. So I'm thinking about the Just Flight RJ, the BAE 146, sorry, and the F28, both of which for me are oozing with character, but just maybe not quite as polished as this. So as I say, for me, and it is a very personal thing, for me, I do feel that this is currently the best high fidelity add-on airliner for the sim at the moment. And with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to tick like, share, subscribe. It's hugely appreciated, helps the channel and the metrics out massively. More importantly, it makes me smile. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.